Hey, sisters and brothers. Welcome to week 12 of Read Through the Bible in 2 years. As we continue on with our Old Testament readings in the book of Exodus, we're entering into a time where some people might get a little impatient. These are the laws that are beyond the Ten Commandments, which we had now about a week ago. And these are laws now that God is giving about the construction of what is basically a portable temple. It is a temple that is a tent that you can take down and put up according to where God's people are going to be traveling. So you'd travel for a day, and then once you stop traveling, they would set up this great tent called the tabernacle. And there's a whole bunch of laws that God gives about the construction of this tabernacle. It is the centerpiece of that construction is the Ark of the Covenant, that great chest that only priests can carry, that will have in it kind of that centerpiece of God's law, and that centerpiece of that history of God's people. And that it is when the tabernacle is set up and that holy of holies is there, that is the place, God says, where God will come and will meet Moses. And there is the place where kind of heaven and earth will meet. And then there are a whole series of laws about the construction of this particular tabernacle, the kinds of curtains that they'll be using, the lampstands, these portable tables that'll be used for the receiving of offering and burnt offerings. And they'll talk about cubits, these peculiar forms of measurement that are ancient. And just to remind you, when you think about cubits, a cubit is the distance between your elbow and the tip of your finger. And of course, the smaller the person is, the smaller the cubit is. It's not like a standard unit of measure like we have today. A meter is a meter is a meter, regardless of where you are in the world. Well, a cubit for a relatively small person is going to be smaller than a cubit for a larger person. But everything is given in the measurements of cubits. And so as you read that, kind of keep that in mind. Also, you'll continue to read then about the laws around the priesthood and what they will wear, and a chapter or two about how it is that they're going to be, what clothes they're going to wear, and the breastplate that they're going to have on, something called the ephod. And then also about a liturgy around the ordination of the priests. And there'll be a chapter about that as well. And keep on reading. Don't get bored. Don't give up because you just think it's not worth your time. Next week, the following week, we will be entering back into the stories of Exodus, and as the God's people will leave then Mount Sinai and will make their way towards the promised land. And that'll begin to happen there at the end of Exodus. So stay with it. Be faithful in your reading. In the New Testament reading, we are in that time between Palm Sunday and Maundy, Thursday, the time when Jesus will have his Passover meal with the Last Supper with his disciples. And in that period of time between those 2 days, Jesus has a whole series of teachings, and many of these teachings are familiar to you. They are teachings about waiting faithfully for Jesus to come. What does it mean to wait faithfully? And pay special attention to those parables of the 10 bridesmaids and the sheep and the goats. They are stories about how do we wait faithfully for God, for Jesus to return. And then at the very end of that reading for week 12 in the Gospel of Matthew, we begin that what is called the Passion narrative. We begin that story about what happens in those last few hours, or last 24 hours, basically, of Jesus' life. Thank you, folks, for your faithfulness and continuing to read through the Bible in 2 years. We've been through now 12 weeks, and you've got a good start. So remain faithful. Keep on with your daily reading through the Bible. Thank you.